Variables are names that represent a value or a piece of information in a computer program. For example, we can have a variable to store a username or age. Anytime we need that data, we can simply call our variable to grab those informations. So I'll create another folder for my third lesson. So I'll click over here, then I'll choose folder, then 3, and then I'll create my file. So main.py. Okay. So let me remove this over here. So we have the main.py created. So I can create my variable. So to create your variable, you simply write the name of the variable. So I can have full name, then I can set it equals to maybe John Deal. Then I can have John Deal's age. So maybe 21. So we have John Deal, and then we have his age 21 over here. So I can simply print the full name. So I can simply write print. So inside there I can have full name. So make sure it's not in quotation. And then I can come down to print the age. So age. So we have the name and then we have the age. So I can simply run my code over here. And then we have the John Deere and then we have his age over here. So let me clear the output. Then let me close this over here. Let me try to print this in the form of a sentence. So what do I mean? So let me change this to maybe something like welcome. Then I can have John Deal, so full plus full name. So this is string concatenation. So we are trying to add two strings together. So we have welcome, then the name John Deal. So if I run the code, we have welcome John Deere, but there's no space between the welcome and then the John Deere. To quickly fix this, we can add a space between the name and the John Deere. So I can add an empty string. Inside the empty string, then we can have our space like this. So I can run my code. So run code. So we'll have this welcome, then we have John Deere. So let me clear the output. I can also print something like maybe your age is, then I'll try to bring the name. So your age is, then we'll add an empty string, then we'll add the age. So plus age like this. So if I right click, then I run my code, we'll have an error, concatenation error, because we are trying to add a string and a number together, which is not possible unless in JavaScript. We are not doing JavaScript over here. So to have this work, so we can try to convert this into a string first. We just write str, and then inside the str we'll have parentheses, and inside the parentheses we'll try to wrap the age over there. So I'll have my age wrapped inside the parentheses. So now if I run my code, so if I run, we'll have your age is 21 over here. So the purpose of a variable is simple hold value so that you can simply grab this value and then you can use it anywhere in your code. So I can also come down. So let me come down to have next age. So this next age basically means John Deal's next age or John Deal's age in next year. So that means we are trying to add 1 to his age. So I can have next age. So this next age basically can be age, and age is 21, and then I'll try to add 1. So meaning 21 plus 1, and that is next age. So I can simply come down, then I can print. So I can print something like your next age. So your next age. So no, okay, let me change this to something like will be you will be, then I'll try to add the age. So plus I'll have an empty space over here. So you will be, then next age. Can I spell next age? So next age like this, by next year. So let's add by next year. So if I run my code, we'll have, okay, we are having problem over here with our concatenation again. So let's convert the next age into a string first. So I'll put my str to convert it into a string, and then I can run the code. So if you come, we'll have you will be 22 by next year. So let me clear my output. Another thing with variables is naming, how you name your variables. So if I remove this underscore and then I put space over here. So if we check, we're having this red tickling line below. So meaning there's problem with your variables. So in naming variables, we cannot use spaces. So make sure to always eliminate your space. So we cannot have a space over here. And we cannot have special characters like maybe this. So that's a problem. So we cannot use characters like this. But you can use the underscore like this. So this underscore is more like a programming paradigm. So maybe if I want to write something like my address, so instead of my address, like this, I can simply have it called my, then we can have the address like this. I think this is more nicer than this. So it's more like a program convention. So I can have my address with underscore over here. So let me simply remove this. So this full name, we can have another full name variable. So full name like this, then I can set it equals to Mary. So Mary Deal. So now we have two variables. So let me comment these so that we will not have them. So we have two variables. So we have the full name above and we have another full name over here. So I can change this. So let me try to bring it down to have two of them over here. So I want to show you something. So instead of full name, so I can have full and then I'll change this to capitals. So capital. So Mary John over here. So if you check, you probably say that these are the same. So since we have full name, you think they are the same, but they are not. So this full name have a capital, while this full name there's no capital. So this is different from this. That means Python is case sensitive. So if I try to print, so if I print full name with capital, we'll have this Mary John. So if I run my code, we'll have Mary John. But if I try to print the full name with lowercase f, so lowercase f, then I run my code again, we'll have Mary Deal above. It means Python is case sensitive. But in naming your variables, I'll recommend you follow this conversion because it's much easier to read your variable. Instead of having full name like this, why not having full name just like this? So we have another naming convention, which is the camel case. So instead of full name with lowercase, you try to change. So you try to change the subsequent word after the first word with starting with a capital. So meaning full name, and then the N here will be capital. So if I want to write something like my home address, so I'll just write my. So the home will start with capital home, then address will start with capital, just like this. So this is another conversion, but I just like this conversion because it's much easier to read. So let me simple remove this over here, and then we'll have everything back. So let me remove the comments, then we can run our code. Okay, we have everything back again to normal. So we can also reassign a variable. So what do I mean? I can change this full name, so I can change it back to something. So we can change the full name to something like maybe Mark. So if I right click and then I run my code, so now we'll have welcome Mark instead of welcome John Deere because we've just changed this full name to Mark, meaning you can reassign a value to a variable. You can change it at any point. But if I try before this full name, where I've just changed the full name to Mark, before that full name, if I print, so if I print full name above, so full name, and then I run my code, if we check above, we have John Deere, but here we have welcome Mac because this is John Deere because we have the variable reassigned after we just printed this full name. So that's why we are having John Deere here before Mac. So if I bring this over here, instead of John Deere, now we have Mac. So if I run, we have Mac over here and we have welcome Mac.